You've got to be kidding me. Oh. Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears. We're back here with the tragedy that is my Mazda Miata. And as you can see, my little variable valve timing experiment didn't work out so well. Let's take a look at what went wrong and what I need to do to fix this thing. After a nice little drive up and down the street, I came back in and the car shut down and wouldn't start back up. It started making the noise that I'm accustomed to hearing when you get bent valves. And that's when the car starts and it cranks really quickly and a higher pitch than it normally does, you know, when it has no compression. So I put it up on stands, took the valve cover off. So when I took the valve cover off, I noticed that the first thing I noticed was the timing gears were in fact in sync. And so I started cranking the motor, which meant that obviously I had to drop the splash guard that I just installed so that I could undo the sway bar to get clearance for this wrench. And so I started rotating it around and I noticed the exhaust cam was popping out of place as it was rotating through. So I started touching this and I felt like, okay, that's fine. And then I touched this and oh. Yeah, that'll do it. So I was really discouraged, I gotta tell you. I walked inside, I sat down, started drinking water, and just said, to hell with this car. I had assumed that I probably bent every single valve on that side of the motor. And then for some reason, I thought to search on the old Googles. I searched, is the NA Miata engine an interference engine? And the answer was a resounding no. That, to me, is a massive consolation prize. So what that means is, an interference engine like the Prelude, this has happened to me before, an interference engine like the Prelude, if the timing goes off and the pistons are moving at a time when the valves are open, you know, like if the timing is way off, like if it skips teeth, the piston will actually slam into the valve and bend it. That has happened to me on not that Prelude, but another Prelude that I've owned. And that's an interference engine. This is not. This means that if the valves are completely open and the cylinder is all the way up, they're not going to make contact, which means I didn't break anything. All I did here was waste time. That is a huge consolation prize because really all I have to do is take this crap apart, take these belts off, take off the water pump pulley, take off the middle timing cover, loosen the timing belt tensioner, take this pulley off, reset it, put the belt back on, reset the timing, and the car should be fine. Now, while I have this off, I'm going to take a look at the camshaft itself and make sure that I didn't do any damage to the nub that fits into the cam gear. If that happened, then I do have to replace the camshaft. But I don't think that's going to be that expensive, even if that's the case. And it's certainly not difficult because all you gotta do is take these retainers off and slip in the new one and, you know, put it all back together. So while I did have a little bit of a setback, again, like I said, it's not that big of a deal, thankfully. And I gotta say, I am actually really impressed with the engineering on this car because, you know, not only is it really easy to work on, but it's really durable, apparently. I mean, it survived the guy that owned it before me. So that's really a testament to the durability of this car. I'm seriously impressed. I'm impressed. And, you know, I'm going to keep going on this. And as you can see here, I've already got the top end torn down again. I've got it set to top dead center before I took it apart so that it'll be a little bit easier to put back together. And let's take a look at the camshafts to see what the damage was. So you see here This was the intake, and the little nub that holds the cam gear on is completely broken off, and the camshaft kind of ruined. And taking a look at the exhaust cam, we see that the little nub is damaged, but the camshaft itself is actually still in good shape. I can salvage this if I get a new dowel pin, cut this off, drill it out. I would actually be able to salvage this camshaft. And if I went through all that effort, I could, in theory, cut off this crank angle sensor fitting here and use it as an intake camshaft. And this supposedly gives the car more power. I have no idea how much more. I have no idea if it's worth it. It will probably cause the car to fail emissions, so I'm definitely not doing it right now. I just got the new camshafts in yesterday, and taking a look at them, they are in good shape. They are certainly usable. Nothing at all wrong with them. So we are going to go ahead and put this back together, set the timing again, and this time I'm actually going to torque down the bolt to the camshaft to spec, and I'm going to go the extra mile and put some thread locker on it, just so this doesn't happen again. I got the camshafts back in, and this time I torqued the cam gears down to 41 foot-pounds. The maximum recommended torque spec is 42, so I came in just under that, and I also put a little bit of thread locker on this. So hopefully this will not back itself out again, and I will not have a variable valve timing Miata again. I've also moved the crank just a little bit so that I can adjust the tensioner. The timing belt is tensioned now pretty nicely, and so I am next going to put the valve cover back on. Okay, before we start this up, we're going to crank it over with the coil pack disconnected. And we're doing that for two reasons. First, we want to get oil circulating up to the head, because it's been a while since I started this motor. And I've also got the new cams in there, so they need to get some oil. Second, I just want to hear it. I want to hear that it's not going to pop. I want to hear that it's not doing anything weird. So let's give this a try. Okay, that sounds pretty normal. Now let's plug in the coil pack and see if it runs for real. Alright, we reset the computer. Let's see what happens. Huh. It's very low idle. And then it dies. Okay. But when I keep the idle up, it's fine. So, yeah, see, it sounds fine. So I gotta resolve this idle issue, and it's probably... So there's two possibilities. The possibilities are either one of my timing gears is off by a tooth, or I just need to adjust the cam angle sensor. So anytime it goes down to idle, it just gets too low and dies. But otherwise, it's fine. I figured it out. The intake charge tube was not seated correctly on the mass airflow sensor. So now, it's just fine. Listen to that. Taps like a diesel and otherwise purrs like a kitten. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna let this idle for a while just to make sure I don't have another variable valve timing situation. And then if it all seems fine, we'll put it on the ground and take it for another test drive. Well, we got a nice little puddle forming up here from the brand new power steering rack. I tried tightening that bolt and it's not tightening. So I'm going to try some stop leak or some kind of thickening agent, and I'm either going to blow up the rack, or I'm going to stop the leak, or I'm going to not stop the leak. Whatever. I guess I have to just live with it. Maybe I'll convert to a manual steering. Jesus. What else? We got a couple of drips farther down. One of them looks to be, the one in the very back looks to be just condensation from the catalytic converter. A nice little hole in my exhaust, I can hear it. There may be a transmission oil leak, but I can't imagine considering how much oil there was in that transmission. Looks to be like maybe I need to retighten the drain plug, maybe, or there's some leak that I don't see yet. I want to say that the coolant leak was resolved by tightening up that sensor back there. Bell housing looked dry, so I think what I'm seeing on the ground is from previously. So I'm going to have to clean the floor again after I take it for a drive and see what shakes out. And to set the timing light, I've got my trusty timing light over there. And since you all know the battery in the Miata is in the trunk, you're gonna like how I've got this hooked up. So I've got my timing light powered up by a battery charger clamped together with alligator clamps. I've got the negative clamped to the lug nut just to keep it away from the positive so it doesn't cause any fireworks. And as you can see, it's doing wonderful things here. I'm sure this is very safe. Let's go ahead and check the timing. This should be right at top dead center. Or it should be at, actually it should be at 10 right here. And it's at 0. Alright, so it was really hard to adjust and hold the phone at the same time. So you can see down here, it's right on the line. And on my timing light, it's at 10. And so if I bump it down to 0, it's going to show 10 on the marker on the timing total. So that's good. It's set where it needs to be. I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything up, and we're going to go for a drive. I gotta say, I'm really disappointed that steering rack is leaking. It is brand new, and it's leaking from a part that I didn't touch. So when I hear this steering pump make a bunch of noise, I'm really disappointed. But so far so good. No weird noises. The mirrors are way out of whack because I kept bumping into them. Let's just go forward in the driveway for a second. Okay, I think we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. I'm just gonna go down the street a few feet and come right back because I need to get this car legalized. No weird noises. Boy, does it ever pull, though. I'm gonna turn around here. This is plenty good. Yeah, the steering is low again. I don't know if it's because I just didn't. It sounds good. It sounds really, really good. But back to the steering. I know I need to add more to it because I didn't finish completely getting all the air out of the system, but otherwise, this is pretty good. I'm going to try getting a little bit thicker steering fluid. Maybe that'll resolve the leak. The e-brake cable is a little bit on the weak side. Sure, I'm glad I didn't try to upgrade. I'm going to call this test drive good enough for now. I do have to clean the floor one more time before I put the car in. And then I'm going to check for leaks again and try to get some work done on this steering fluid situation. I also have to go out and get the one-day operating permit to smog it. It looks like that's not going to happen until next week. Just things piled up this week. But at any rate, thank you for watching, and let's check back next week to see if this thing actually passed smog.